This book right here was not meant for publication, yet it managed to find its way into the hands of people like Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela, J.K. Rowling, Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Cuban, and many other influential people. So what was this book about? This book was a series of journal entries from a Roman emperor by the name of Marcus Aurelius. He was born around 121 AD, so we're talking about 2,000 years ago. And this isn't written like a traditional book. It is a series of journal entries that are broken down into a series of volumes. What I absolutely love doing is I love getting a book, and I don't know if you can see that, but I love just pulling apart the book and highlighting the most important passages, and that's what we're going to be covering today. And we're jumping straight into book 1. I came under a ruler and a father who was to strip me of all conceit and bring me to realize that it's possible to live in a palace without feeling the need for bodyguards or fancy uniforms, candelabra, statues, or any other trappings of such like pomp, but that one can reduce oneself very close to the station of private citizen and not thereby lose any dignity or vigor in the conduct of a ruler's responsibility for the common good. So what is he talking about here? A Roman emperor from 2,000 years ago is talking about humility, staying grounded, being humble. He can reduce himself to that of a normal citizen. He doesn't need bodyguards. He doesn't need security. He can wear standard clothes, and this is so powerful. So a guy that's gone on to inspire millions and millions and millions of people around the world. He was humble, he was grounded, and knew his place. And then we move on to book 2. What is death? Someone looking at death per se and applying the analytical power of his mind to divest death of its associated images will conclude then that it is nothing more than a function of nature. And if anyone is frightened of a function of nature, he is a mere child. And the death is not only a function of nature, but also to her benefit. So think about this, a Roman emperor who was leading people into battles, he was in charge of an empire, wasn't scared of death. He realized that death is a natural process of nature. How powerful is his thinking several thousand years ago? Absolutely love this. And then we move on to book 3. Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thoughts about other people when you're not thinking with reference to some aspect of the common good. Why deprive yourself of the time for some other task? I mean, thinking about what so-and-so is doing and why, what he is saying or contemplating or plotting, and all that line of thought makes you stray from the close watch in your own directing mind. So this Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius had so much introspection 2,000 years ago. He didn't get caught up in the daily gossip, in the banter, in the noise around him, because he knew that if he got caught up in the gossip, it would distract him from using his own mind, his own directing mind. So how powerful is his thinking process? Remind yourself too that each of us lives only in the present moment, a mere fragment of time. The rest of life is past or an uncertain future. So he was talking about being present, living in this present moment. How often do people in the 21st century live in the past or live in the future and they're not living in the present? But what he's saying here, there's no such thing as the past, and the future is uncertain. What he's saying is the only place that exists is here and now. So think about his level of consciousness and his level of thinking 2,000 years ago. This guy was a Roman emperor. How powerful are his thoughts? Just as doctors always have their instruments and knives at hand for emergency treatment, so you should have your doctrines ready for the recognition of the divine and the human and the performance of every action, even the smallest, in consciousness of the bond which unites the two. No action in the human context will succeed without reference to the divine, nor vice versa. So what is he saying here? We always need to be prepared. We always need to be studying. We always need to be learning so that when the time comes for us to live our purpose, or when the time comes for us to take action, when the time comes to us to connect with the divine, we're aligned. We're doing what needs to be done. We are prepared. This is what he's saying. And then we move on to book 4. I love this. This is one of my favorite. Remove the judgment and you have removed the thought. I am hurt. Remove the thought, I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed. I'm going to repeat this one more time because this is so powerful. Remove the judgment and you have removed the thought, I am hurt. Remove the thought, I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed. So a lot of the time we have pain or suffering because of our thoughts, because of our judgments of the situation. But by removing your thought or judgment of the situation, automatically the hurt disappears. So think about the stability of his mind. Think about how grounded and centered he was in his thinking. Oh, I love this. You have subsisted as part of the whole. You'll vanish into that which gave you birth, or rather, you'll be changed, taken up into the generative principle of the universe. So what he's saying here is, you came from this universe, and then upon your passing, you return to this universe. Very powerful stuff. Universe, your harmony is my harmony. Nothing in your good time is too early or too late for me. Nature, all that your seasons bring is fruit to me. All comes from you, exists in you, returns to you. So what I absolutely love about this is he's saying that the universe, everything in the universe has perfect harmony. Nothing is too late, nothing is too fast, everything is perfect. Everything that comes to me, whether it's pain, suffering, love, joy, happiness, and what moment of time that comes to me in is absolutely perfect. Everything comes from you, and what comes from you is divine. Everything is perfect. Life is short. Make your gain from the present moment with right reason and justice. Keep sober and relaxed. I absolutely love this. Life is short. Make your gain from the present moment with right reason and justice. Keep sober and relax. So what he's saying here is if you want to be successful, if you want to do really well in life, you need to remain in the present moment, right? But you also need to use justice. So justice is fair exchange, right thinking, making sure that you're not hurting anybody, right? But then using reason. We're using our reason, our judgment, our perceptions, and being conscious of the decision. And we can only make our gain in this present moment by using our judgment, our reason, and making sure that it's fair exchange. And he's saying keep sober and relaxed. We don't want to be agitated. If we're agitated or drunk and we're not relaxed, we're not going to be able to make the best decisions possible. Very, very grounding stuff here. Think always of the universe as one living creature, comprising one substance and one soul. How always absorbed into this one consciousness, how a single impulse governs all of its actions, how all things collaborate in all that happens, the very web and mesh of it all. You are a soul carrying a corpse, as Epictetus used to say. How powerful is this stuff? So what he's saying here is, essentially, think about a web. Think about a big spider web. You touch one part of the spider web and the whole spider web ripples. This is what he's saying here. Everything in the universe is interconnected. Everything is connected through a fundamental substance. This is what he's saying. And you touch one part of the web and everything else ripples and it affects everything else. So your actions, although you think they don't affect anybody else or anything in the universe, everything's connected, everything affects everything else. And you are a soul carrying a corpse, as Epictetus used to say. I absolutely love this. He believes we came from this universe, and when we pass away, we return to the universe. So essentially, our time here on planet Earth is limited. We are a soul carrying a corpse. Then when our corpse passes away or our body dies away and breaks down, our soul returns to the universe. Very powerful thinking, deep thinking. I love this. Be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break. It stands firm, and round it, the seething waters are laid to rest. This guy was in battle. This guy ran a Roman empire. This guy was a Roman emperor, but he knew to stay headstrong, like the headland, like the banks of a cliff face. He knew to stay strong, because if he stood strong, everything else around him would settle. And when he was settled, he was staying grounded. This is very Stoic philosophy, very powerful thinking from a Roman emperor. Then we move on to Book 5. At the break of day, when you are reluctant to get up, have this thought ready in mind. Am I getting up for a man's work? Do I still resent it then? If I'm going out to do what I was born for, the purpose for which I was brought into this world, or was I created to wrap myself in blankets and keep warm? But this is more pleasant. Were you then born for pleasure? All for this feeling, not for action? Can you not see the plants, birds, ants, spiders, bees, all doing their own work, each helping in their way to order the world? And then you do not want to do the work of human being. You do not hurry to the demands of your own nature, but one needs to rest too. One does indeed. I agree, but nature has set limits too. Just as the eating, drinking, and yet you go beyond these limits, beyond what you need. Not in your actions though, not any longer. Here you stay below your capacity. So think about this. You are a male or female. You have roles and responsibilities that you play. Do not have children and then complain about it. This is what he's saying. This is part of man's work. This is part of man's creation. The birds, the bees, the butterflies, they all do their job, but yet man complains. And every time you complain against doing man's work or man's nature, essentially you're going against the resistance of life. He's saying, don't complain, get on with it. It's your duty, it's your responsibility. Your mind will take on the character of your most frequent thoughts. Souls are guided by thoughts. So think about this. Your mind will take on the character of your most frequent thoughts. What he's saying here is, your character is literally nothing besides your thoughts. And what does your character create? Your character creates your destiny. This is very, very powerful stuff. There was a time when I met luck at every turn, but luck is the good fortune you determine for yourself. And good fortune consists in good inclinations of the soul, good impulses, and good actions. What he's saying here is by good inclinations of the soul, good impulses, good actions, right? By having a purpose and he's doing things that are just and he's taking action, naturally luck is going to fall into his lap. I've heard a saying in the past before that good luck is nothing besides preparation meets opportunity. He's saying he's prepared and he's taking action, then luck naturally falls into his shoes or into his hands. Very, very powerful stuff here. Then we move on to Book 6. When circumstances force you to some sort of distress, quickly return to yourself. Do not stray out of rhythm for any longer than you must. You'll master the harmony the more you constantly go back to it. So what he's saying here is, and this is very, very powerful, life has turmoil, tragedy. Shit's gonna hit the fan, you're gonna get pissed off, you're frustrated. But what he's saying here is you wanna return to yourself to be grounded as fast as possible. And the more and more frequently that you do this, the more quickly you'll be able to return to this harmony. Because when you are centered and grounded, from this place, you can make the best decision making using your reason and judgment. Very, very powerful stuff here. This is good. Do not imagine that if something is hard for you to achieve, it is therefore impossible for any man, but rather consider anything that is humanly possible and appropriate to lie within your own reach too. So what he's saying here is don't impose your limitations on other people. But also what he's saying here is if another man's been able to accomplish something, it is completely possible for you to do it too. A lot of the time, our own limitations are self-imposed, but what he's literally saying here is, that if somebody else can do it, so can you. And I have this internal belief, if another person can do it, so can I. And he had this thought 2,000 years ago. Take care to not be Caesified or dyed in purple. It happens. So keep yourself simple, good, pure, serious, unpretentious, a friend of justice, God-fearing, kind, full of affection, strong for your proper work. Strive hard to remain the same man that philosophy wished you to make. Rever the gods, look after men. Life is short. The one harvest of existence on earth is a godly habit of mind and social action. Think about the humility here. Think about the introspection. Think about the thoughts he's having. Do not be Caesified. Do not dye yourself in purple. He's saying don't spoil yourself. Don't be debaucherous. Don't blow money. Don't blow cash. Be sensible. Be grounded. You're here to do man's work. You're here to serve the common good. This is 2,000 years ago. No wonder he's gone on to inspire so many people. Accustom yourself to not be disregarding of what someone else has to say. As far as possible, enter into the mind of the speaker. So, we're talking about empathetic listening, speaking. In order to rule a nation, in order to rule an empire, in order to rule a business, we need to listen. Don't disregard what someone says. We need to get inside the mind of another person. We do that by listening. It's called empathetic listening. This is very, very powerful stuff. Again, even though he was a Roman emperor, he didn't believe he knew it all. He still was able to listen to other people and take their advice. Then we move on to book 7. All things are meshed together, and a sacred bond unites them. Hardly a single thing is alien to the rest. Ordered together in their places, they together make up the one order of the universe. There is one universe out of all things, one God pervading all things, one substance, one law, one common reason in all intelligent beings, and one truth. If indeed there is also one perfection of all cognate beings sharing the same reason. So think about this. What he's saying here is there is one universe and literally we are all connected. Think about the depth and power of what he's thinking 2,000 years ago. Think about the level of wisdom this guy had. He understood that we all come from the same place. We are all connected. There is one soul. There is one universe. He's essentially saying that all is one and one is all. Everything stems from the one and everything returns to the all. We are all the same. We are all connected. Very powerful stuff. And when you have this level of perspective, think about the things that you can do and think about what he managed to accomplish. Observe the movement of the stars as if you were running their courses with them, and let your mind constantly dwell on the changes of the elements into each other. Such imaginings wash away the filth of life on ground. This is so powerful. So what I do, I go for a run most weeks. I do a 5K run most weeks. And I'm normally going pretty early in the morning, around 4:35, 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm going for a run. And a lot of the time it's dark. So when I'm running, I get to observe the stars, and I love observing the stars because it doesn't matter what's going on in the world around me, what challenges I'm facing. When I look up at the stars and I pay attention to the course of the stars, I realize that what I'm going through on planet Earth is trivial. It's nothing in comparison to the vastness of the universe. It puts things into perspective. He's talking about perspective. When you are a leader, when we're going through dramas, things are happening in life, look up at the stars and it gives you perspective. Is it really an issue? What he's doing is he's thinking big because then all the little worries wash away. Again, love this. The happy life depends on very little. How humble is he? The birds, the bees, the butterflies, the smell of the rain, the smell of the ocean, fresh air, all these things. He's saying the simple life, the simple life. Think how humble this guy was. Perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. So perfection of character, right? What he's saying here is you don't know where your last day is going to be. So live it as if the best that you possibly can, right? You want to do it without agitation, without irritation, so without frenzy is essentially what he's saying, without apathy. which is essentially lack of concern. Don't go through life without worrying about life with lack of concern. Life, you've got a task to do. Go out and accomplish your purpose and without pretense. So don't go and falsify things, essentially what he's saying. Just go live your life, be the best person you can be, and essentially today might be your last. So live it to your fullest is what he's saying here. And then we move on to book 8. Constantly test your mental impressions, each one individually. If you can, investigate the cause, identify the emotion, and apply the analysis of logic. So what he's saying here is there is stimulus, response, and between stimulus and response, what he's saying here is there is logic. And between stimulus and response, we can use our logic and we can dissect our mental impressions. This is what he's saying. Most people, 95% of the population, 99% of the population have a stimulus and they respond. They're very reactive. Whereas what he's saying here is we can be proactive. We can take ownership of our thoughts. We can judge and assess our mental impressions. We can assess our emotions and we can change them by doing so. This is very powerful. Think about the introspection this guy's had. Think about why he was able to do what he was able to do. Are you thinking at this level? If you're not, maybe it's time for you to start reflecting upon your own thoughts, your own impressions, because you can change them. Very powerful. You must compose your life action by action and be satisfied if each action achieves its own end as best it can be. And no one can prevent you from that achievement, but there will be some external obstacle. No obstacle, though, to justice, self-control, and reason. But perhaps some other source of action will be obstructed. We'll gladly accept that obstruction as it is. Make a judicious change to meet the given circumstance, and other action will immediately substitute and fit into the composition of your life as discussed. So what he's saying here is the only thing you can do is focus on each action that you have at this given moment, right? And yes, you're going to face obstacles and you're going to face obstructions, but they're part of life. Get on with it. Don't sit there and cry and get upset and get pissed off and frustrated for too long. Literally just get on with life. And as soon as you get on with your life, you can take charge of your life and take action. Universal nature has brought you nothing you can't endure. If your distress has some external cause, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment of it. And you can erase this immediately, right? Think about this. He's saying that every challenge, every circumstance, every situation in life that is happening to you, you can get through it. A lot of the time people give up. Life's too hard, right? But the universe throws you challenges to make you a better person, to make you stronger, to make you more resilient, to make you a warrior. And what he's saying here is the universe is going to throw you challenges, but you can endure them. You can push through. You have it within you. Reach down to the depths of your soul and you can push through is what he's saying here is, right? And then he goes on to say that if you have stress, if you're disgruntled, if you have unease, essentially what he's saying here is the only thing that's troubling you is your own judgment of it. If you remove that judgment, it's not going to bother you. So get rid of your judgments or your thoughts on that situation, and all of a sudden the problem disappears is what he's saying, which is very powerful. So think about that. Something's bothering you. It's your judgment of that situation that's going to be bothering you. Remove the judgment and all of a sudden the bother's gone. So don't worry about it. Move on. Remember that your directing mind becomes invincible when it withdraws into its own self-sufficiency, not doing anything it does not wish to do. Even if its position is unreasonable, how much more than when the judgment it forms is reasoned and deliberate? That is why a mind free from passions is a fortress. People will have no stronger place of retreat, and someone taking refuge here is impregnable. Anyone who has not seen this is short of wisdom. Anyone who has seen it and does not take refuge is short of fortune. Whoa, listen to that. A mind free from passions is a fortress. So what are the passions? The vices, sex, drugs, rock and roll, alcohol, gambling, right? All these things are the vices, but a mind free from the vices is a fortress. Nobody can break through you. And what I've said in the past before is, to the degree that you're able to rise above the vices, the passions will determine how far you get in life. Because why is that? Because you become a fortress and nothing can stop you. You are a soldier and nothing can get through you. This is very, very powerful stuff here. Then we move on to book 9. Do not despise death. Welcome it, rather as one further part of nature's will. Our very dissolution is just like all other natural processes which life seasons bring, like youth and old age, growth and maturity, development of teeth and beard and grey hair, insemination, pregnancy and childbirth. In the educated attitude to death, then there is nothing superficial or demanding or disdainful, simply awaiting it as one of the functions of nature. And just as you may now be waiting for the child of your wife carries to come out of the womb, so you should look forward to the time when your soul will slip into this bodily sheath. So often people freak out about death, but he recognizes it's just a part of nature. There's no purpose to be stressed out about death, right? The Stoics, they always thought about mortality because it's coming, you're gonna die. But what it does is it allows you to have pressure on your life to go and do something, to make a change, because one day you're gonna die. But are you gonna leave your mark on this world? So use mortality, use death, it's a part of nature, but use it as a means to recognize that you're here to do something and go and do something great. Today, I escaped from all bothering circumstances, or rather, I threw them out. They were nothing external but inside me, just my own judgment. I talked about this before. Things piss you off, you're frustrated, you're angry. But the only thing that's going to be pissing you off, it's not an external cause, it's not somebody else, it's literally your own judgment of that situation. If you remove the judgment of that situation, it's not going to bother you. Book 10. Keep constantly in your mind an impression of the whole of time and the whole of existence. And the thought that each individual thing is, on the scale of existence, a mere fig seed, on the scale of time, one turn of the drill. He's talking about time. And what he's trying to do here is put things into perspective, right? It's just right now is the moment of time. And when you recognize the whole, how many millions of years, how many millions of cycles have there been? It's nothing but a mere cog or a spin on the drill. Your time is finite. So what it does, it's going to keep you grounded and centered with perspective. This is what he's saying here is perspective. Keep things in perspective because at the end of the day, your time's finite. This is what he's saying here. Book 11. And this is definitely one of my favorite. What is your profession? Being a good man. But this only can come about through philosophic concepts, concepts of the nature of the whole, and concepts of the specific constitution of man. I absolutely love this. What is he talking about? He's talking about becoming the best that you can be. And how to become the best that we can be? We study the whole, we study the universe, but also we study man. We study ourselves. And by doing that, we become the best version of ourselves. He's talking about becoming a good man. He's essentially talking about personal and professional development. He's talking about self-development. He's talking about becoming the best that you possibly can. I absolutely love that. And it's a great way to finish this book summary. Guys, I hope you got value today. If you did, I'm Simon Mucha. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.